Welcome back to Roll for Puppet, the series where we let these dice design our next creature. Thank you so much to everyone who watched and enjoyed episode 1. It meant so much to us. Here we are back with episode 2, and just get ready because this one's a little unhinged. And just a quick little update to say that King of DeForest from episode 1 has already found his new home, so thank you so much to the person that adopted him. But let's get started today by rolling a d20 for our head shape, and we have a 3 for our Bimble head shape. Very underrated head shape in my opinion. And now let's roll our Chaos dice to find out what kind of personality our Bimble is going to have. And this is the first roll of our brand new 6-sided Chaos dice, and we have rolled Underground. So we have never rolled this before. It is a very exciting brand new prompt. We're thinking cave vibes, underground, dark, dank, a little bit creepy, a little bit unhinged creature vibes. And that is so exciting because if you know anything about Roll for Puppet and me, you know I love it when it looks like things are just growing off of a creature, growing out of a creature, and they look very natural. That's why lore is always one of my favorite characteristics, because they can just look like nature is growing off the puppet itself, and that has to be one of my favorite things ever to create. So let's make our first ever underground puppet. And I would say just prepare yourself, because I kind of went all out for this underground puppet. I was so excited, and it gets creepy. And that's okay, that's part of why we love Roll for Puppet so much, the pure randomness that the dice can give us. And not every puppet is going to be cuteness overload, so I completely understand if you're someone that doesn't enjoy the creepier side of puppet making. But if you are, then this video, just buckle up, this video's for you. So, as you've already seen, we got started by cutting out the reticulated foam pattern on our beloved bandsaw. All hail the bandsaw. We have our S for sexy on the mouth plate. It's all glued together with our contact adhesive, our forbidden honey sandwich. The mouth plate and the black fleece is all glued in with the forbidden ice cream sandwiches into the puppet's head, and we're going to be ready for our foam reveal. And of course you're thinking, at this stage, it's a Bimble. How creepy can it get? How realistic and unhinged and cave dweller can it get? Well, it does. Okay, it does, and I am in love with this puppet. I really hope you are too. The really fun thing about the way that we mounted the mouth plate is that it can be an overbite or an underbite. We've left it really nice and loose, so you're not really going to be restricted with the expression, and you're going to be able to move it around a lot. And yes, we just wanted it to have an overbite. You'll see why later. So we're just getting all of the wire armatures sewn up and glued into the hands with the arm rod pockets. Spray glue them all together, and we're going to be ready to move on to our colour scheme. First of all, we need to roll for the amount of colours on this puppet, and we have a 3. Now I want you to notice that is 2 3s in a row. 3 for the head shape, 3 for the colours, and then we rolled the 3 colours, and we have 3, 5, and 8 for green, yellow, and pink. That's 3 3s in a row. 3 for Bimble, 3 for colours, and 3 for green. If you're someone that enjoys patterns and numbers and signs, then this episode is definitely for you as well, and I'm one of those people. So green, yellow, and pink all together. So we found this really beautiful combination of bright yellow, kind of dusky pink, and then this dark forest green fleece. And we're going to use the green for the hands of the puppet and the face of the puppet, and then we want the thick, fluffy, luxurious pink fur to be most of the body, and then kind of like a lion's mane coming back from half of the face. You'll see it all in a minute. And then the bright yellow are going to be pops of colour throughout the puppet and in the features. So once the green is all sewn together for the hands, I'm just going to trim them, turn them inside out, and put in the foam and wire hands that we created earlier. And the armatures that we have encased in the foam will just mean that the puppet can hold certain things like props, it can articulate itself, it can point. It's just really helpful to have the hands have those armatures inside them. So then I'm going to sew up the arm rod pockets, and then we're going to move on to cutting the fleece for the puppet's face. So again, in the same dark green fleece, and I feel like this green is just so natural and kind of mossy and foresty. And it's not super bright, and so it's going to help to just bring the general tone of the puppet down with the pink and the yellow. We're trusting the dice, they know what they're doing with this colour scheme, so we're going to sew up the seams on the puppet's face. And we're using the F3 puppet fleece, which we've been raving about for years now, and we get it in white in bulk, and then we dye it individually to meet the needs of each project that we have. So every single piece of fleece that you see here on Furry Fingers, Roll for Puppet, is dyed by hand, just to make sure that we get the exact colours that we want perfectly. A little bit of a behind the scenes fun fact for you there, in case you didn't know, every single piece of fleece is dyed by hand. Once the green is sewn up and the seams have disappeared beautifully, because the F3 fleece is perfect to make these puppets, we're going to move on to our nice, dusky, fluffy, thick pink fur. And as we said, we wanted it to come back almost like a lion's mane, so big and bushy, because we want this puppet to be very expressive, very unhinged, very cave dweller. And contrasting with the green, it is just like this big explosion of pink. The colours look beautiful together. Here is my dog forcing herself to fit into a tiny little cat bed, even though she has a bed dog-sized. She still insists on squeezing herself into the cat bed. Tell me about that. Anyway, once the fur is all in place for the puppet's head, we're going to sew up the seams, and then we're going to have the same fabric on the body, so I'm just cutting out the pieces before we sew that on the sewing machine. But then we wanted to bring in some bright pops of yellow, so we're actually going to cut out some spots on the puppet's body, and this will all start to make sense later. Don't worry, we know what we're doing. So we're going to cut out some really abstract fun shapes, and then we're going to layer over the yellow and hand sew the seams together, so it almost looks like there's just these patches of yellow fur growing on the puppet's body, almost like lichen or coral or some damp growth. The way I'm describing it sounds so disgusting, but it looks beautiful. I just said damp growth in relation to a puppet that I'm proud of making, and I don't even know why you're listening to this voiceover, because that's disgusting. Now, we did immediately regret doing this because it took so long to sew those yellow patches into the fur, but now they're done, and the arms are dull jointed onto the puppet's body. We're ready for our colourful reveal, and now of course we need some eyes on this puppet. So we're going to roll a d6 for our type of eyes, and you'd never guess it, we've rolled a 3 for cab eyes. Yes, we rolled a 3. That is our 4th 3 in one episode. Our 4th 3, ladies and gentlemen. But because we rolled cabs, it means we need a d20 for our cab iris colour, and we have a 14 for volcano. If it had been another 3, I would have screamed. But it wasn't, it was a 14 for volcano, and this is the perfect iris colour for this puppet. It has yellow, green, and purple in it. It matches perfectly with the fabric colours we already have on this puppet, so the dice gods are smiling on us. I'm feeling very, very blessed and very trusted by these dice gods. Thank you so much. Once the irises are in place, I'm finding the right positioning for our cab eyes on the puppet's head. And I'm always amazed at how different the character looks with just a small change in the expression. We decided to go quite low and quite wide with the puppet eyes. It was almost giving axolotl vibes. Very, very cute, but very cave dweller vibes. Now we need our 4 d20s for our features, and we have 1 for teefies, 2 12s for double spots, and 18 for prop. Now, I want to formally apologise in advance for what we are about to do, but I was so excited when we rolled teefies on this puppet, especially a cave dweller puppet. So first of all, we have this crimson red dyed foam. We actually dyed this for a custom project, and we had a little bit left over, and we thought this would look perfect as a gum, as like a bright red foam base, so that we could add in these realistic resin teeth. So normally for 90% of our puppets, we will go with kind of a cartoony, cute, 3D printed teeth vibe. But for an unhinged cave dweller, I've been so excited to have an excuse to use these realistic, human, creepy looking teeth. And this was definitely the puppet for that. So once those are in place along this really fun block of foam gum that we created, we sewed up a bright yellow fleecy puppet tongue, because every puppet needs a tongue. And then for some fun, colourful cave additions, we have this like rubbery, almost, again, coral-like material. It's like a moss. It's like something you would find in the depths of a dank, creepy cave. And we're going to glue that onto the puppet's head to almost look like it's sprouting out of the fur. And then for the body, we have this really fun bright pink and green foliage, and we almost want it to look like it is growing out of the puppet, dripping off the puppet, and just an extra little something to add some more dimension and extra color to the body. Now we're going to create a little template of different sized spots because we're going to spray some airbrush definition onto the puppet's face and chin. First of all, we wanted some shading and some definition and some shadow underneath the puppet's eyes in a really dark green, and then we're going to go around with our stencil and add lots of dark green spots in different sizes all across the puppet's face. The definition and the shading is just so fun and it adds a lot of depth to the puppet's face. And then we added some shading around the area where the fleece meets the fur on the forehead of the puppet to kind of blend all of that. And then for our prop, every cave dweller needs a little lantern. And we're going to be ready for our finished Bimble underground puppet reveal. And as a little special extra prop as well, we gave them a little fish that they've caught with their mouth, with their teethies. And here is our finished Roll for Puppet Season 4, Episode 2. And they're now going to spit their fish at you and laugh their head off because they found that absolutely hilarious. But here is the finished puppet. I love this colour scheme so much, and I was really excited to delve into sort of creepier, more realistic features with the resin teeth. And in case you couldn't tell, the second spots were the pops of yellow that are growing on the puppet's fur. That's why we added those sort of abstract spots in to the fabric earlier. So we have one 3D, one 2D version of the spots. And their little light up lantern prop is perhaps one of the cutest things I've ever seen. I really enjoyed bringing this puppet together, and of course, again, it's one of those creations that only the dice can help bring to life. And hopefully we did the selections justice as well. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what name you would give them, what their detailed backstory is, why they're here, what do they want? And don't forget, if you would like to support the show and get these episodes early and ad-free, you can join our Patreon community. It would mean so much. There's lots of fun perks over there. Discount codes, Discord servers, a book club, pins of the month. And we'll see you very soon for another episode.